We get to meet farmer Julia and, of course, your adorable adopted calves, Eva and Sophia. First, this live chat is part of the Adopt a Cow program. More than 43,000 teachers and 1.7 million students joined the fund for free this year, thanks to our generous supporters like the American Dairy Association Northeast and the Dairy Excellence Foundation. If you'd like to join the fund next year, registration and re-enrollment actually opens this week on May 1st. You can go to discoverdairy.com/adopt, and there you can either log in and re-enroll or create a new account and get started. Next, today's event is live and that chat is open. We are so excited to hear from you and hear your questions. I know Farmer Julia is excited to answer. Before we go over to Farmer Julia, let's check out Facebook and YouTube here and see who's joining us today. So, all the way back in the beginning, we've got the first ones to join us this morning, Mrs. Gold's class, who said they can't wait, and we can't wait either. We're so excited for you joining us this morning, so thank you so much. We had Mrs. Marshak's class, who's excited to meet Eva. We are too. Some folks, Mrs. West's class from Belmore, New York. Hello and good morning, all. We've got Mrs. Sylvan's kindergartners and Miss Brandt's second graders from Clifton Fine Central School in New York. Hello and good morning. Miss Helm's class in Binghamton, New York. Hello. We've got some folks in Liverpool Central School District from Mrs. Merlino's fourth grade class. Hello and good morning. Let's jump down here a little bit further. We've got Miss Lovelace first grade class in Marion, Mrs. Kinsey's class in North Syracuse. Hello and good morning. And let's do one or two more here. We've got Mrs. Gall's class in Martin Luther King School. Hello and good morning. And Mrs. Conte's first grade class in Coxsackie, New York. So hello and welcome everyone. Thank you so much for joining us today. I know I'm excited to see you and hear from you. And Farmer Julia, of course, is excited to hear your questions. So without further ado, I am excited to introduce you to Farmer Julia. Hey, Farmer Julia, how are you doing today?
I'm doing great, Brittany. Thank you. And thank you for everyone that's on this call and everyone that's watching in the future. Like Brittany said, my name is Julia, and we're here at Fouts Farm in Central New York. This is a great place to raise cows and to farm, which is what my family's been doing for almost 90 years now. So my great-grandparents, Amelia and Floyd, started the farm back in the 1930s. And now my grandparents and my parents are owners in the farm. And this is actually an exciting year because I will also become an official owner, which I'm very excited for. And it's a huge privilege, and I hope to use that very well. And I'm just so excited to be able to spend this half an hour with everyone today.
That's amazing. Oh, Julia, that is so exciting for you for future ownership in the farm and just what a legacy of 90 years at this farm. Now, I think part of that legacy, includes change and new things on the farm to continue growing. Can you just talk a little about the building we're in right now? Because this looks real fancy and new.
Yeah. So we are actually in our new facility right now. So we're standing in some pens that can be used for any cows that maybe aren't feeling so well. And we also have Eva and Sophia here as well, which we'll move over to them in a little bit. And then over in front of us right here is actually the milking parlor. So you can see this kind of long hallway where the cows will walk in to go into the parlor. And they spend about 10 minutes in the parlor getting milked, and then they come back through this way and head back to their pens to go and lay down, to eat, and to just hang out for the rest of the day. But this is very exciting because we can provide a much better place for our cows to get milked. In our old parlor, it was built a long time ago and it was starting to get old. And so now we have a better place for cows and for people as well. It's a much more comfortable environment.
Yeah. Well, I mean, just like us humans, we like to, progress to a bigger house or do innovations in our house. You guys are doing the same thing. You're providing a nice new fancy place for your animals to live and be really comfortable. And I must say, our beautiful girls in the corner, I know they're peeking out a little bit, but they look really comfy and cozy hanging out with you here too. Very cool. Farmer Julia, can you just talk a little bit about maybe what your average day looks like in your role on the farm?
Yeah, so every day on the farm is a little bit different. My role is primarily taking care of the calves and the cows. So I'm very focused on herd health and making sure the cows are vaccinated. If there are any sick cows, making sure that they get medicines right away or call the vet to come and help. And doing a lot of the data work, so keeping track of how much milk the cows are making and things like that. And
Nice.
yeah, it's busy and every day is a little bit different. We have 10 employees that also help with us. So we have people that work primarily on the crop side and making sure that we're growing good feed for our cows. We have people that milk the cows, and they actually play a big role in making sure the cows look healthy as well, because they can actually interact with each cow every single day. And yeah, we just have a great team here, and I'm happy to be a part of it.
That's awesome. I love, and you, so you said some 10 employees, and of course your family who's involved in the farm, and you're all taking an active role in caring for those animals. That's really great. And I'm sure you guys are working around the clock, depending on, eventually it's, someone's kind of around the farm most of the time, making sure these girls are well taken care of.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
There's
So
hardly
Farmer
ever a
Julia,
time where there's
yeah.
no people here. There's always someone here throughout the day. So
Right? Yeah.
yeah.
I love that. So, while we are excited to hear from you, and we're excited for your news on potential ownership in the future, and but of course, we've loved following Eva and Sophia this year. So we would love to get an update on how they're doing, and of course, just a reminder to all of you: don't forget to go ahead and listen in. If you have any questions for Farmer Julia or about your calves, drop them into that chat, and as soon as we're done getting the update, we'll get to all of your questions. So, Farmer Julia, we'd love an update on how they're doing.
Yes, of course. So if everyone can remember, Sophia's number is 4,700 and Eva is 4,702. So here's Eva right here. She's a little bit more
Oh,
friendly and extroverted than Sophia is. So she's going to be probably the friendliest during this call. Um,
cool.
but she is probably over 400 pounds now and about 48 inches. So if we remember when she was born, she was barely 80 pounds and
Yeah.
was probably about 30 inches tall. So she's grown a
Uh-huh.
lot in the last 7 months. Um, and if we can see Sophia over here, she is,
She's gonna try and hide
I've,
behind
she's,
Eva.
yeah, she's always hiding. She's so shy. Sophia has always been a little bit bigger than Eva. So you can see she's a tiny bit taller. She is also over 400 pounds at this point, probably about 48 inches tall. And she was also just a little baby about this tall when she was born, and now
Oh,
she's grown so much.
oh
And
my
they're
gosh.
growing really well. They actually live with 70 other animals about their age. So
Okay.
we brought them here today so you could see them really well. But later today, they're going to go back with all their friends. So,
Gotcha. That makes sense. Which makes sense why maybe they're a little bit more maybe skittish or just running around because this isn't their normal home. But we appreciate you bringing them up here so we can get a close eye on them. I think we might not be able to see them in a herd of 70 animals. So
right.
that's it's good that I'm glad we were able to hang out with them. So while they're living with their herd mates, what are they eating and drinking, and what's kind of their lifestyle like with their herd mates at this point?
Yeah. So we actually have some of their feed right here. I
Awesome.
want them to eat while they're in here too. So this is what their feed looks like. It has corn silage that we grow on the farm, haylage that we also grow on the farm, and then some canola to provide some extra protein because they need a lot of protein to grow, and then a vitamin and mineral mix that a cow nutritionist formulates and makes to, again, help them to keep growing. So they're
Yeah.
fed every day in the morning. So they get like a big amount of breakfast that they eat throughout the day. And then they have various water fountains throughout their barns. So there's actually a water fountain right here.
Wow, just like us in school,
Special
huh? We
cow
learned about
water
water fountains
fountain.
in school.
Yeah.
I
Um,
love that.
and then they also get, we kind of like make their beds every day. So they get new sawdust in their beds to help keep them clean and give them something comfy to lay on.
Oh, that's so
But
cool.
and a typical day that would be great is them eating, drinking water, and laying down and being able to play whenever they want. So that's what
Wow.
we aim for.
They've got an easy life. They just hang out with their herd mates and eat and play. And now what does playing look like for our adopted cows? What does it look like for cows? It's not like they're gonna sit down and play checkers, you know? So what does it look like for cows?
Yeah, it looks different for cows compared to people. They sometimes it looks like they are trying to fight when they like to run their heads into each other, and that's like a way that they play with each other. And Eva especially loves to groom other cows, so like lots of licking. So they love to
Oh,
groom each other. It's a way to show affection and um, to build a connection with each other. Um, And they also do love to just run around, especially when they get excited.
Sure. Oh yeah. Yeah. No, I'm sure they do. That's too cute. I love that they can show affection to each other like that. That's really sweet. Farmer Julia, we've had a lot of people curious how many animals total you have at your farm from newborn all the way up to milking cows.
Yeah, so total animals, we have about 1,200 right now.
Okay.
Um, in terms of the cows, amount of cows actually getting milked, that's about 650. And then all
Okay.
those other animals are newborns and heifers like Eva and Sophia, and the ones that are growing into becoming milking cows. And then we also have some cows that are on vacation right now, and their only job right now is to be growing a baby. So they don't go to the parlor, they just hang out all day, and we want to give them that time to finish up their pregnancy so then they can have a healthy birth for their next baby.
Yeah. Wow. A 2 month vacation. That sounds wonderful. To be able to just hang out and do whatever they want. That's really cool. Now, if you have, around 600 or so young stocks, anywhere from newborn until they're about to have a calf, how many babies does that mean you have born a day on your farm, approximately? Any idea?
Um, on average, it's 1 to 2 born a day. We had
My
one born
goodness.
this morning, a new Holstein heifer calf. So she'll be joining the herd with Eva and Sophia someday when she gets older. But yeah, approximately 1 to 2 per day.
Oh my goodness. That's got to be a lot of fun. Do you have a specific person that works with the maternity animals all day long?
So that's another exciting development. Right now, it's me and my mom that primarily feed all the newborns, which I is probably my favorite job on the farm is feeding newborns. But we also are hiring someone new to help us with that, who's starting this week, and she has a lot of experience working with newborn calves, which is wonderful, and she loves doing it. So we're excited about
Oh,
that as well.
oh, that's exciting. Yeah, that lets you guys, let her have her specialty and do what she's really good at. And then, of course, it frees you guys up to do some other things on the farm. That's really cool. We've got a lot of questions coming in from Julia, so I'm going to try and work through some here. And of course, it's going to we can certainly check out the girls if they'll let us get close to them, or maybe they'll run around. Who knows? But we were curious if Miss Stevens, we were wondering if all of the cows have names or just our adorable calves, or we were just curious how that works.
Yeah, that's a great question. So all of the cows do have this yellow ear tag that you can see. Probably can see that Eva has right now, her
Mhm.
4702. So they all have what I like to call cow names, which is a number that's connected to our computer system where we can keep records on all of our cows. Some of them also have people names. So we have Eva and Sophia. My favorite cow is Chloe, or 4131 is her number.
Oh.
Um, we have a few others. We actually have one. Her number is 1776, and we named her George Washington.
Oh my goodness, that's
Um,
adorable.
so we have a few that are named, and there's various ways that they earn that name. But they all have their cow names, so we can keep track of them, and we can know pretty much anything that's ever happened in their life. We have recorded. So if we ever need to see, look up a cow, or if we give a cow medicine or a vaccine, we record that immediately. So then we can
Right.
keep good records on our animals.
Yeah, and that tag helps you identify who is who. 1,200 animals sounds like a lot of animals to keep
Yeah.
track of. So that tag definitely helps keep track of who they are. And now, do the milking cows have anything extra that they wear besides their ear tags?
Yeah, wonderful question. So you might not be able to see it in Sophia or Eva, but they do have a white button on the top of their ear, and that is a tag that can be, it's called an RFID tag, or radio frequency identification tag, and it's just something that can be scanned. And when they go into the parlor and they start getting milked, it'll scan their tag and then link how much milk they make to that number that's on their tag. So then that's
Wow,
another record that we can use to keep track of our cows. And
that's
then
amazing.
as they get older, they'll also get a blue tag in their ear. And this blue tag keeps track of their activity and their rumination, or their ability to digest their feed. So that helps us with their keeping track of their health and making sure that everyone's feeling okay. So there's a lot of cool technology out there that can help us more precisely and more accurately take care of our animals. Um,
Yeah.
so a lot, we've
Wow.
farming has changed a lot in the last like 4 generations that how
Right.
it's here.
Yeah, that's amazing. All that technology that you can use to help maintain it and keep track of your animals. And it sounds like they've got, I mean, it's essentially like a Fitbit. And these cows are wearing a Fitbit and keeping track of their movement
Yeah,
and what they're
exactly.
eating. And that's really cool that you're able to do that as a farmer. How do you guys get to see that data? Do you have to go to the computer for that? Is there an app for that? Just curious.
So there is a computer for that. So we have a computer that's capturing all of their milk production. And then
Okay.
we also have a separate computer that tells us all their activity and all their how they're digesting their feed. And it also um, flags any cows that they think we need to take their temperature or need to go check on them. So it's all on the computer. And then I do also have an app on my phone where if I'm out and about and I need to check on a cow, I can just look her up really quick and it tells me some of her basic information, like when she was born, who her parents are, and when her last vaccine was, so I can make sure that everything's up to date on her.
Sure. Yeah, that's very cool. We had a question from Mrs. Gold's class. They were curious how long it takes them to get to adult size or full grown. When do you consider them full grown? And maybe also tie that into when do they have their first calf?
Yeah, so they're usually they'll have their first calf around 2 years old, and they'll keep growing a little bit after that, but that's pretty much when we consider them an adult, is when they officially have their first calf. Um,
Gotcha.
and then that's also when they can start being a milking cow. So once Eva and Sophia have the babies of their own, then they can join the milking herd and start getting milked every day. But they first need to have a baby in order for that to happen.
Gotcha. Okay. So they have their first baby around two. And then that's when they start producing milk, and then they're pretty much considered full grown. And how big will they be? So, we said they're a little over 400 pounds right now. How big will they be at that point in their life?
They'll probably be around 1,500 pounds, which sounds insane, but that is, they're going to keep growing until about that weight, or maybe even more than
Wow.
that.
Yeah. Wow, 1,500 pounds. So they've got a long way to go yet, but kind of in a short period of time. We certainly don't put on 1,500 pounds in a year and a
No.
half. So, oh my gosh. We had a good question for you actually from Julia. So for you directly, they were curious. Did you have to get a college degree, and what kind of training did you need to get, or anything like that to be and have the role you have on your family farm?
Yeah, that's a great question. So, I guess for my background, I majored in animal science in college, and I had a minor in environmental science. So I was very
Okay.
interested in like the intersection between dairy farming and the environment. And then I actually went and got my master's after that. None of that is
Oh,
required to be a farmer. It's just something that I personally wanted to pursue. And it
yeah.
gave me an insight into, so I got to do research with dairy cows. So it kind of gave me like a look into the industry and from a different way.
Okay.
I really enjoyed that. I think to be a farmer, though, you don't need a college education. You need the passion, you need the drive, you need the willingness to learn. So, and I think that
Yeah.
college is great, or any sort of trade school is great.
Sure.
There's lots of different ways to be a farmer, I think.
Yeah,
So,
yeah, yeah. And I mean, most important, right, is just hands-on experience. You had the
yeah,
opportunity
hands-on
to
experience.
grow up on the farm and have that experience. But anyone that's listening, maybe they are like, well, it sounds like a cool opportunity, but I don't even know where to begin. You could just, try finding a farm that you can work for and do some part-time work and
Yeah,
start getting your hands on the farm. So yeah, that's very cool. Thanks for sharing
absolutely.
that. And congrats on the masters. That's
Thank you.
awesome. And I'm sure it's gonna come in handy and just be an excellent leader and part owner of the farm and as you continue your journey. So I'm sure that'll play a big part. Oh, a good question from we had Miss Ledwin. They were wondering, what do the cows do in the winter? So maybe can you just talk about, New York can get pretty cold. So what do you guys do to help keep your animals warm? And do they go outside? Do they stay in the barn? That kind of thing.
Yeah, that's a good question. So, the cows actually stay in the barn all year long, and we do this so then we can really control their environment. Cows like it when it's like 50 degrees out. So when it gets really hot, we turn on the fans and the sprinklers to help keep them cool. But when
Uh-huh.
it gets cold out, we actually have curtains on our barns that um, are temperature controlled. So when it gets cold out, they'll close. So right now, these curtains right here are a little bit closed because it's a little chilly today. So this is like can help button up our barns so then
Sure.
we don't get snow in the barns and things like that. We also make sure that they are well fed and have a lots of adequate bedding because that plays a big role in keeping them nice and warm. And then
Sure.
for newborns, we actually give them calf jackets because newborns have a harder time keeping themselves warm. So that's where our focus is really is keeping them with lots of straw and a nice warm jacket. So that's a
That's
good
awesome.
question.
Yeah, that was a good question. Thank you for sharing that. We were curious. We had some questions on, okay, the baby is born, then what happens next? I mean, we learned a little bit about it in our updates and stuff. Can you refresh us on that baby is born? Does she hang out with her mom for a little while? And what's that next step for you and your farm?
Yeah, so when a baby is first born, we tend to leave her with the mom for a little bit so the mom can dry her off and just to make sure that they're both feeling okay. And then from there, we get the mom to get some feed and water, and she joins in the milking herd with other new moms, and she goes to the parlor to get milked. And then we take care of the calf by making sure that she has plenty of really good colostrum. So I think we learned about that this year too.
You
Colostrum is
did.
just like milk, but it also has some extra good stuff in it to give them a healthy start. We want to make sure that they get enough of that and a good quality of that. So we give that in bottles, and then we get her into her new home where she'll be for a few, like 6 to 8 weeks. Um, and yeah, so that's kind of the process. We separate them so that we can give them each the care that they need. They need very different types of management and types of care. So that allows us to do that for them.
Very cool. Thank you for walking us through that and refreshing us. I know many of us learned that in the program, but we might have some folks on here that are just hopping on to watch. So we appreciate that recap. We had a good question on, our two girls here behind you look very alive and well and healthy, but we know, just like us humans, we can tend to get a cold or get a little sick. They were curious, how do you recognize when a heifer is sick, and what do you do to help take care of them?
That is a great question. So cows are naturally prey animals, and part of being a prey animal means that you want to hide your sickness. So you have to be really good at knowing when cows are sick. So healthy animals usually stay in their herd. They're eating, they're drinking, they're looking very alert, like Eva and Sophia are right now. When animals are not feeling as well, they tend to separate themselves from their herd and go lay down somewhere else. Or if they're not laying down and they refuse to lay down, that can also be a sign that they're not feeling well. Their ears tend to droop. And sometimes it depends on what they're sick with, but those are some of the common signs is they separate themselves and they look more droopy than usual. And then if I do identify someone like that, then I'll go and take their temperature. And if it's something that I'm not sure what to do, I'll call the vet and the vet will come out and check on them. So
Yeah,
that's a
absolutely.
it's a skill to identify, I think, when cows are sick
Sure.
because they're so good at hiding it.
Yeah. And it's not like they can talk to you. So you guys as farmers need to develop that skill and be able to make sure you're there and help them. And I know you do. And I'm sure maybe do those trackers at all for the milk cows help you to see any activity? Does that help to track them or see their potential sickness or anything?
Yeah, so the tags that are kind of like Fitbit, they play a big role for the on the cow side. So when they become
Hmm.
adults, um, that helps us a lot because they're a big sign that they are feeling well means that they're chewing their cud, which is when they're kind of like chewing away. Um, and that is what those activity sensors and are actually measuring is how the vibrations from them chewing. So if they stop chewing so much, that means they're not digesting correctly, and that
Hmm.
means that something is probably wrong. So
Sure.
that's
Wow.
another way to keep track.
That's amazing. I love that. We have another good question. Wow, we are curious on how we keep them clean. So, do you give them a bath? And how do you clean their hooves? They sound like they're very big animals. So, we're curious how we just keep them clean in general and keep their hooves taken care of.
So to keep them clean, a lot of that has to do with keeping the barns clean. So we scrape their barns every day to keep any of the poop that builds up to get that out of there. and
Sure.
keeping their beds nice and clean.
Hmm.
Um, so we don't give them a bath. And they also do groom themselves, groom
Sure.
each other. And for the adult cows, they also have big brushes in their barns, and that
Oh,
they rub up against them, and that helps to like kind of get any extra dirt off of them. As for
wow.
their hooves, they'll keep growing them. For basically they always grow them, so they need to get their feet trimmed like we get our nails trimmed. Um, So once a week, we have someone that comes to the farm whose specialty is actually working with cows' feet and cows' hooves and keeping them the good length and keeping them nice and healthy. And we also have, as cows leave the parlor, we also have a foot bath, which has special chemicals in it just to keep their hooves clean.
Sure.
Sophia and Eva won't need that for a little bit, but once they get older, that'll be something that they'll be able to hang out in the foot bath for a little bit.
Yeah. So it sounds like I mean, with that foot bath, kind of sounds like they get a mini pedicure almost once a week.
Yeah,
And then,
basically.
and
Yeah.
yeah. And then you had mentioned the hoof trimmer comes once a week, but that's just because there's a lot of animals. So is every animal run through to get their hooves trimmed, what, twice a year, three times a year, something like that?
Yeah, so it works out. So um each animal herself will go through twice a year, even
Twice a
though
year.
the uh hoof trimmer comes once a week. So that
Sure.
way we're not bothering each animal all the time.
All the time.
Um,
Yeah. Awesome. Thank you. I appreciate you sharing that. Oh, we were curious. So you mentioned, keeping their pens clean and keeping them clean to keep the animals clean. But where do the animals go? How do you move the animals and clean the pens? How does that logistically work to keep everyone happy and keep everything
yeah,
clean?
yeah, good point. So it's really with a series of gates. So you can see we have gates here. So we kind of section off the barn in different ways. So we move all the cows to one section,
Mm,
clean out that section, put the cows back over there, clean out another section. That's how it is
yeah.
for heifers anyway. Um, for the milking cows, we always clean out the barns while they're in the parlor. So that's a lot less disruptive for them. So they go to the parlor, their pen's getting clean, they're getting fresh bedding, and then they get to return to a nice clean area. So
Ah, gotcha. Okay, that makes sense. I'm sure those pens and gates help a lot to be able to move them
yeah.
around. Very cool. We actually had a couple of questions. I just wanted to address this before we start wrapping up. We were curious, how much milk does your farm produce maybe in a day or a year? And we are curious if you happen to know where your milk goes, a brand name or a store or anything like that.
Right. So um, we're milking 650 cows, and each
Hmm.
cow makes about um, 90 pounds or about 10 gallons of milk every
Okay.
day. So if we do the math on that, I'm not sure. It's a lot
Yeah, so if it's about 10 gallons of milk per cow, that's
per cow.
6,500 gallons of milk a day. Wow, that's incredible.
Right. And then we are a part of a cooperative. So that cooperative is called DFA. They are in charge of marketing our milk and distributing our milk. So it kind of goes where it needs to, depending on the day and depending on the processing plants and what's needed. I do know
Yeah.
that a lot of it goes to Chobani for yogurt. So I always buy Chobani at the store and it's good anyway. Um, but plants throughout New York, really, and as the closer the better, I think. But
Yeah, that's cool. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it can go at just about anywhere, but like you said, mostly it'll stay local and Chobani is certainly a brand. I always have Chobani in my fridge too, so
yeah,
I agree. Maybe I'm having some yogurt made from your cows. That would be pretty cool. So Farmer Julia, thank you so much for sharing all this with us. We've had a lot of fun getting to get our questions answered, and of course, getting to see our girls. They've been running around for us and just showing off a little bit today. I just wanted to wrap up with one final question. We've talked about a lot of things that you do as a farmer. You've got to make sure they're taken care of. You got to make sure that the farm and barn are clean. Got to make sure that they're fed. Just it's a lot of work, and you went to school for it. There's a lot of work and built up experience to get here. So we were just curious, what's your why behind making this your mission? Why did you choose dairy farming as your career and sticking it out for years to come?
I think I have a few whys. I think the most important one to me is I'm someone who really likes self-reflection and self-progress. And I think the farm provides that environment for me. There's always something new to learn. There's always different ways to push myself. And I think the farming community in general is like that. I think there's always better technology. There's always new and improved ways of taking care of animals and taking care of the land. And I like
Mhm.
that like constant state of change and constant um, devotion to doing better. And then, of course, taking care of the animals and providing nice, nutritious products for everyone in New York. That also means a lot to me. So,
Yeah. Oh, I love that. No, thank you for sharing that. And we're so thankful that you chose to be a dairy farmer. We absolutely loved getting to follow you this year and your calves. Your pictures were fantastic all year. And we've got lots of people saying thank you in the chat. So they replicate what I'm saying, that they've really loved following Eva and Sophia this year and learning about you and your farm. This has been such a fun experience. So thank you truly for just and for being an amazing farmer and representation of what dairy farming means. Is there anything else you wanted to share with us at all from Julia before we tune off
um,
today?
yeah, I just want to say thank you to everyone on this call and thank you to all those schools and all the people who have signed up for this program. Um, it's been a great part of being home on the farm is being able to share it with everyone in this program. And um, yeah, thank you so much. And don't forget to have some dairy today.
Awesome. Oh, don't worry, we won't forget. I'm excited to go ahead and have my cereal later today. So thank you all. Thank you, Farmer Julia. It's been a lot of fun. And thank you, Eva and Sophia. It looks like they're chowing down on their
Yeah.
breakfast now. So we'll let them enjoy their breakfast. And we really had a great time with you this morning. So we hope to see you all in the program next year. Don't forget to re-enroll starting May 1st. And we hope to see you in September. Enjoy your summer, everybody. Take care. Bye-bye.
Bye.